What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome back to the Inside Wisconsin Show here on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. Trevor Thomas, John Anderson, J.A. At the time of this recording, I am fired up. It is the WWE Monday Night Raw in Green Bay tonight. I'm so jacked up for that. My youngest loves it, and I am all in. I can't wait.
There was a time when I watched some wrestling when it came on, WBAY on Saturday nights after the local news. That was with Vern Gagne and the High Flyers and Greg Gagne, his son, and the Crusher and those guys. But the WWE is not really sort of for me, but God bless you. And my old agent, Nick Khan, runs the whole thing now. So I had to, when he took over, I had to do that. But good for you. Get out there. It's good scripted television is what it is. It's good script. Every time they try to put it on ESPN, I'm like, it can't be on ESPN and sports. Why? People love it. I'm like, I get it. People love it. But it's not a sport if you know how it ends. If the winner has been determined beforehand, it cannot be a sport.
Boy, I'd like to think that sports don't have that throughout it, but
entertainment value I'm good for. But
some could argue that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So our guest today, Travis Beckum of UW Football Hall of Fame, and obviously
good player.
Won a Super Bowl with the Giants. We'll chat with him, but I'm curious to know, you two have something in common. You both graduated from the school you now work at. So I'm wondering, are there things that are just, I don't know if weird's the right word, but when you come back to campus as a professional instead of a student, especially a student athlete, how different is that?
It's funny because it's sort of familiar and warm and inviting on one hand. It's a little intimidating on the other hand because you're used to being a student there, especially in my case. I'm like, okay, now these are the people that I need to make sure have the right stuff. I've had one guy tell me, and I'll figure it out this fall, another professor, a guy named Nick Matthews, wonderful guy. And, he said, where's your class? I said, it's over in Middle Bush Auditorium. He goes, wait till you have to teach a class in a room that you took a class in. And I have that this fall. So I'm anxious to see what that is. The biggest thing that always throws me is because the students here never age, right? Every student that ever carries a book bag looks the same here in 2025 as they did in 80. So every time I walk through campus, I look at these kids and I go, oh, look, that's me. There I am right there. That's exactly how I look. I got my backpack on, or and then I come back, and whether I'm in a hotel or I'm here, and then I look in the mirror like, actually, I don't look like that at all. I see those kids and I think that's exactly how I picture myself on campus. That's how I was when I walked here and went to the lounge or to the union, or went to the, through the columns. So I see them and I'm like, that's exactly how I look. And then I come home and that's not how I look at all. And that's the biggest difference, is you just see yourself as those kids and you're not at all.
But it's still how you feel in here, and that's what counts, right?
Teach the young.
Teach the young. All right, here we go. Travis Beckum, UW Football Hall of Fame and Super Bowl champ. It's the Inside Wisconsin Show.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Amplify Health, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
UW Athletic Hall of Famer, and he's got a big ring. That's a Super Bowl ring. Travis Beckum, good to see you, man. Thanks for jumping on the Inside Wisconsin Show.
Good to see you as well. Absolutely. I'm happy to be here.
Our first guest on the Inside Wisconsin Show is Barry Alvarez, who you played for a year. I want to know what it's like, because at the time he calls you, he's full-on Rose Bowl Barry Alvarez. What's it like when Barry Alvarez calls and says, you should come play football at Wisconsin?
Yeah, I mean, especially being an in-state kid, I think it's extremely powerful. And to be able to play under his legacy was extremely important to me. To play with that motion W on my helmet and on my chest was extremely important to me. So, I mean, at the time, I didn't really realize how impactful it was. But looking back, obviously he's a legend, and I'm just blessed to be able to be a part of this program.
Like, what's it like when he just rolls up into the house?
It's like, man, that's Barry Alvarez. Like this is the real deal. And just being invited to his home, with his family there, amazing family, and just kind of walking around and just being mesmerized with the accomplishments and the things that he's done throughout his career was amazing.
So you had your first season with Barry Alvarez, but that was his last. And then you were the first part of the Brett Bielema era at UW. What was different about those? And is there anything that you can kind of grasp in regards to like the way it should be today? That's probably a long answer. I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah. So kind of drastically different. So coming out of high school, I was a number 6 linebacker in the country. And Bielema was the linebackers coach at Wisconsin. Barry was, like you said, it was his last year. And then going into spring ball, my second year, I didn't play much at all my freshman year. And keep in mind that Bielema recruited me as a linebacker. So I needed to figure out a way to contribute, a way to be a part of the offense or defense. And then I reached out to Brett Bielema and was like, hey, I'm thinking about trying out tight end, because this is when we were playing Auburn for the bowl game. And during prep, I was playing scout offense. And so it worked really well to where I felt like I should go to my linebackers coach and say, hey, I'm thinking about switching positions. He laughed and kind of didn't take me serious, but I had to let him know, like, hey, I need to figure out a way to be valuable to this team. And so I made the switch, and that was really the difference between Bielema and Barry. And I didn't play much again my freshman year, so I was kind of like, Barry was at a distance, and Bielema was more hands-on. And then obviously my second year, Barry retired, and Bielema was my head coach.
So a lot of guys, that first year is a transition year. How come you gave up the linebacker thing when it seems like you gave up the linebacker thing so soon?
Okay, well, first, you don't need to frame it as I gave up. Okay.
How come we made the personal decision?
Because I think if we look at the way that college football is right now, I think people would have given me the props of giving up. So it really isn't like I was the number 6 linebacker in the country, the number 1 player in the state, and I didn't do anything. I didn't contribute my freshman year, and I just needed to figure out a way to contribute. And that was the year that Owen Daniels was a senior, Joe Nellis was a senior, Jason Posiak was a senior, and those were essentially all of our tight ends. And again, just that bowl prep really gave me, I really felt like I was contributing back like I did in high school. And then yeah, I made the choice of giving up, and I think it ended up being a pretty good give up.
Okay, so bad on me on how you're right. Listen, I'm telling kids all the time, man, it's all about the right word, and I apologize for using the wrong one there. What kind of attitude adjustment goes on from being a guy that is aggressive and you got to go hit people, and now I would like to, as much as I could, at least after I catch it, avoid people? You know what?
And that's a good question, because
thank you. I was worried.
I always say, in order to be a linebacker at a productive level, you need to have some screws loose. With that being said, I really, yeah, I kind of, now I think about it, I was going to start talking trash and I completely forgot what the question was. So you asked, so really what it came down to was I think I had the defensive mentality throughout my whole career. And to be honest with you, I was just a really good athlete. I was extremely blessed. I had the privilege to do things that a lot of people had to work really hard to do. And so, I mean, if you look at my size, and then just my style of play in high school at the linebacker level, and even my freshman year, I wasn't really a linebacker. I was just an athlete that was put in a position to have success. And that's really one of the things that Coach Chris was extremely good at. He had the ability to find what players were good at, and he took advantage of that. And that was just me being put in a slot, or my second year having the ability to be side by side with Joe Thomas. Like that year, I was a really good blocker because I was next to Joe Thomas. Not so much my junior and senior year after Joe left, but Coach Chris did a really good job of putting me on the side that Joe Thomas was on. And then if I wasn't on Joe Thomas's side, typically I was out in the slot and making some moves out there.
Do you know Trevor thinks Joe Thomas is the 37th best player ever to play for Barry Alvarez? 37th.
Not true.
How comical is that?
It's not true.
I knew it wasn't. I knew he didn't think that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He totally disrespected Joe Thomas. When we named great Badger players, he didn't even put him in the top 10.
That's not true either. One time, here's the story. And I knew it was going to come up. As soon as you mentioned the words Joe Thomas, I'm like, crap, here we go. Okay. First episode, John mentioned it. We had Barry Alvarez on.
Yep.
And we decided to do a top 5 list in every episode, including that first one. And I picked the top 5 Badgers in the Barry Alvarez era forward. John got pre-Barry Alvarez.
Okay.
Joe Thomas was in my top 5. I chose to put him at number 5, not number 1, which has been quite possibly one of the worst answers of my life. And I'm 42. So where would you put him, Trev? Top 5, top 10, number 1?
Top 5 is, I would absolutely say top 5. So the thing is a lot of people, they always say, well, who was one of the best athletes that you've ever played with? The crazy part is that, I mean, I've played with some really good athletes through my college career, through my professional career. But arguably Joe Thomas was one of the best overall athletes that I've ever played with. The guy he's just a different breed. I would definitely say he's in top 5. But I'm curious as to see where I fell in this ranking.
You were ahead of Joe Thomas.
See, I think you're just trying to get back on my good side. So I like you. I like you now. No, Joe is up there. He's an unbelievable specimen that I mean, he could just do things that other people couldn't, especially at his size.
So I grew up in Johnson Creek, and you grew up in Oak.
Johnson Creek or Creek?
That's Creek. That's why I said it that way. And you grew up in Oak Creek?
So I grew up in Milwaukee, went to school at Oak Creek.
Okay, so it's Oak Creek, not Johnson Creek. Yeah. Take us back to your high school days and what it was like to be the athlete in high school that you were. Did you have options coming out of high school? What did that all look like?
Yeah, so I had a ton of options, and again, as we originally when we first started chatting, being able to play with the Motion W on my helmet and end my story in the state of Wisconsin was extremely important to me. And I mean, I took visits to Oklahoma, took visits to Tennessee, had Miami and Florida State scheduled, and really I knew that I was going to stay home. And one of the biggest reasons is to make sure that my mother was able to attend all of my games. We didn't have we didn't have enough money for her to travel if I were to choose anywhere else. So I stayed in state, and obviously being able to play under Barry was extremely important to me. But the legacy, the tradition of Wisconsin was extremely important to me. And again, I think at the end of the day, I wanted my story to end in Wisconsin, and it panned out to be exactly what I wanted it to be.
I wonder if life would have been different with NIL money. And then, you could have made enough to make mom go anywhere. Let's go to Cal, and she could come watch you play. How that changed. So is that where number 9 came from? Was that your high school linebacker number?
No, I was number 1. I was number 1 in high school. And I was number 36 at linebacker in defensive end my freshman year at Wisconsin. And Jonathan Orr was a receiver. and he was leaving, and I just wanted something unique. I like the single digit, and randomly came up with 9, and it stuck. But I do think that it's awesome now when you talk about NIL and jersey sales, and I love it for now where I do the corporate partnership for the Badgers, and when I go to the games, I still see the number 9 jersey that people are wearing. It might be pink, but I get the concept. So I'm super fortunate.
Do you get to get a check from all that? I mean, I know they're going to do some payment, after the fact.
Settlement.
I missed it.
Oh, he's not.
I missed it. I
That
missed it.
sucks.
2016 was the cutoff. 2016 was the cutoff.
Glad I brought it up. You went to a bowl game all 4 years, which unfortunately for some Badger football players, that may or may not be a thing. And so if you could compare your time in the program, and obviously you work closely with the program now, what was good about Badger football then? And have you scheduled a meeting with Coach Fickell to talk about that? Yeah.
So the thing is that college football is completely different than what it was back in the day. And the thing is that I was extremely close with Fickell coming out of high school. Again, I was the number 6 linebacker in the country. Coach Fickell was the linebackers coach at Ohio State. So him and I met a ton, built a great relationship with my family. And if it wasn't for me being from the state of Wisconsin, I probably would have actually gone and played for Fickell over at Ohio State. With that being said, I was extremely happy with the decision to bring him over and to take over this program. And like I said, this just the era of college football and what it's become with the NIL component is tough. It's not, you can't really compare apples to apples when you say how good a coach is now versus even 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I think some of these schools in the SEC found a way to really push some money under the table to the guys, but Wisconsin has been extremely the gold standard. They've been extremely black and white in regards to going about it the right way. But now we're getting creative, and you have to get creative nowadays. And as much as I would have loved to get compensated when I played, I do have the ability to help these current student athletes build their brand and build a foundation for themselves now and for life after football. So, but I think just in general, the eras of football, it's really hard to compare apples to apples.
Dude, you're not even 40, and you're talking about like you played when the football looked like a watermelon. Like, isn't that crazy how quickly things have changed? Like, you think you're the old school, right? Like, it's different. It hasn't even been, 20 some odd years. What's that like? So we kind of get this impression. You go through recruiting, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, guess what? You didn't pick Miami, you didn't pick Oklahoma, you didn't pick Ohio State. You're here. And we kind of forget that you have the relationship with these coaches. Yeah. That recruited you other spots. So what's that like the rest of the way? You see Fickell during, I'm sure, you play Ohio State and you see him. And then if by my timeline, you've been there maybe you're back a year or so before he arrives. What's it like when you see that guy that you, for trying to make sure I have the right word, rejected at that point? Like what's that relationship like? What's that relationship like as you go through your career, both collegiately and afterwards, and you see these guys?
Yeah, I think it's really full circle. And after they made the decision of bringing Fickell here, I was super excited. And the first time I seen him was at the Big Red Rally, it was an alumni event, Milwaukee alumni event in Milwaukee. After the show, I went up to him. I said, "Hey, Coach Fickell, Travis Beckum here. I'm not sure if you remember me." And he kind of stopped me mid-conversation. It was like, "Travis Beckum." He goes, "Of course I remember you. You're the only reason why I ever came to Wisconsin." So, so that chemistry was there. Again, super excited to have him here. An amazing coach. It's just again, the regulations with NIL and how much is dispersed to our student athletes. The thing is that there's X amount of money that they're given to multiple teams. It's the same amount. And then really trying to figure out like how you disperse that amongst the teams, the college teams or the athletic programs. So it's like if you have football that's going to generate 85% of the revenue, but we have a good basketball program. Our women's hockey program is unbelievable. Our women's volleyball program is unbelievable. Like it's just so on and so forth. We have a lot of really good teams here. And then you have some of these other schools, like for instance, Villanova, which is going to be a basketball school. Like they're going to be able to disperse the majority of that money specifically to that basketball team. And that's going to be the funds that they have that they can go out and give that to players. But it's just a different world, and it's tough. I think he's adjusting, and I think only time will tell.
All right, more with Travis Beckum on the Inside Wisconsin show next. Stay here.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaines Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Amplify Health, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
I finally got my hands back on the can. I don't have it on the set, but it was a 24-ounce gold can. Here's the picture. I sent John this picture the other day. I was at the Brewers game. I held up that big can, and I said, she's a beaut, Clark. Here's why I didn't make the trip to the studio quite yet. They wouldn't give it to me full. I mean, it was full, but they wouldn't give it to me unopened. I asked for it to, hey, I'll buy it. Don't open it.
Nobody does that anymore. It's a safety hazard.
Yeah, can't do that. Apparently, idiots chuck full beers onto the field or hit people with them, whatever.
Cool.
So I drank it, as you might expect, but I got it. And now I have not found, and I don't know if they even exist, so I'm not saying they do. Don't quote me on this, but are they in the little cans yet? Like the 12-ounce cans. That's not a little can. That's a normal-sized can. But anyway, got my hands on the big 24-ounce Miller Lite. I'm looking for some more so that I can take them up north this weekend for 4th of July weekend, where Miller Lite and the cooler join me and a whole bunch of friends on this. You ever do this, John, when you were younger? You hop in a boat and you cruise out. Yeah, Longtail. Did you ever go to Longtail here in Green Bay? You never went to Longtail?
No.
Interesting.
I'm just laughing that your Wisconsin accent really came through when you're going up north.
Up north, yeah. Up north, 4th of July weekend, gonna grab a boat and go hit the Sand Point and just chill. And so I'm jacked about that. Miller Lights all around here, 4th of July weekend. What do you have plans? Where are you gonna be?
I'm in South Carolina, and I will hopefully. It was funny. And usually I'll play a round of golf. I played a round of golf down there on 4th of July one day. It was so fun. I had been in Connecticut most of the spring, and so now I'm down there, and it's finally warm instead of 42 and raining. And this other guy that I played with had come down from Denver, and so neither one of us could hit a golf ball as far as we wanted to. Mine was going a mile farther than it had been in the couple of times I played in Springs, and his was going a mile shorter because he wasn't at altitude. So you're like, what do we got? 150. I'm like, I think that's a 7-iron. He goes, I think I'm going to hit a wedge. And I'm like, I think I might hit a 5-iron. Like, it was just awful the whole day trying to club our way around. So we'll be there. It'll be great. They'll fire off fireworks over the beach and the Pacific Ocean, which is great because if it gets really super, I don't know if you should come see our place. If it gets really explodes and gets really, you can almost see France.
Okay. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Inside Wisconsin to find options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Cheers to 50 years of Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. Please don't be an idiot. Not you. You out there. Don't be idiots this 4th of July weekend. Consume beer responsibly when you're out doing your celebrations, and for the
Lemmy's
love
on the
of God,
boat too, right? On the boat too. Sometimes people voting get a little squishy, and we don't need that.
Exactly. Or playing with fireworks. Let's just use your noggin, Wisconsin. Time for another top 5 list here on the Inside Wisconsin show, presented by UW Platteville. At the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, their renowned engineering and STEM programs offer a cutting-edge environment with over 60 majors to choose from. Plus, with exciting clubs and organizations, there's always fun happening on campus. Discover why UW Platteville is a smart investment. Apply now. I mean, it must be fun there, John. That's where UW football does their spring training camp, spring training camp before the season starts. They always go to Platteville. All right. So in honor of your I like steak medium well comment in the last episode, which I can relate to, I got to thinking about foods that I really enjoy well done. And I wonder if you share any of these sentiments. So I wrote down my top 5 foods that I love burnt.
Do you like? Okay, we like char. Okay, good. So
yeah,
I'll tell you, right? I have a theory on why well done is okay.
Okay.
And it's just every time somebody, and it kind of goes back, like every time somebody goes, "You want to go have sushi?" And I'm like, "No, it's raw." And they're like, "Yeah, it's delicious." I'm like, "No." Every time you eat something that's raw, you are offending the guy who invented fire. Okay, it's one of the greatest inventions ever, and you're just going to say, "We don't need it. I'm just going to eat it raw." And people go, "Well, that's just dumb." And I go, "Okay, name great inventions in the world." Fire? Yep. How about the wheel? Right? Nobody drives around with square tires.
True.
So I'm just saying, don't offend the guy, whoever that guy was. Right? You saw Tom Hanks in Castaway. He gets fire. So now you're going to eat something raw, or you're just going to barely cook it? No, you're insulting these people, the cavemen that work so hard. You got to go for it. That's the same. By the way, the same thing I tell people who want to tell me how great vegetarianism is. Hey, every once in a while, we need to show everybody we're at the top of the food chain. If that means I got to go take down a cow and eat them, good. And when I do, I'm gonna cook him. So that I'm taking advantage of a lot of things. I'm showing my superiority as a race, and I'm showing respect for generations ago when they just said fire, good.
You bring up a good point. Have you ever been at a restaurant where on the menu there's a little asterisk, and on the bottom it says, "Eating undercooked food is bad for you, and you can't hold us responsible."
Yes.
Well, what's funny about that is you go to some restaurants where here's the special of the day, and it is a medium rare steak and no substitutes. You cannot change it.
Yeah, or beef tartare or any of that.
Are you reading your own menu? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Or I'll tell you the time real quick. I went to because you love to grill. And I went to a place I was at the Super Bowl in San Diego when Gruden and Tampa throttled the Raiders. First Super Bowl I went to. And I said, boy, I got there and I was starving after the trip. And they're like, "There's a great restaurant over here called the Strip Club." And that's kind of funny, right? New York Strip Club. So I go over there and it is. But it turns out the guy comes by, he goes, "You got to pick your own meat." Okay, cool. That's nice. Here it is. It was grill your own. And I'm like, no, that's not how the restaurant works. If I wanted to grill my own, I would have stayed home. I came here. And so, no, I'm not here for the audience participation. And they did. Funny. They went back and cooked it for me. And then the guy said, "How do you want it?" I said, "I would like it medium well."
Yeah. And they looked at you like, "Well, then cook it yourself."
There you go.
All right. My 5 foods that I love burnt.
Yes.
Number 5, hot dogs.
Bacon. Hot dogs?
Hot dogs is number 5. Yeah. So we have that Traeger grill that I always talk about, and I smoke a lot of meats, which means the grease drips down. So I cranked this thing up to 400 the other day because I'm going to grill on it, which I haven't done in a while. And that turned out to be a bad idea. It was an inferno. I had flames coming out of everywhere. It was ridiculous. However, it seared those hot dogs perfectly. The outside of the hot dog was black, and the inside was perfect. I loved it.
Nice.
Burn a hot dog.
No, we don't want to burn. There's a difference between well done and burnt. By the way, every story you tell me about whether it's grilling or softball, like you are just a case for natural selection. Like, I don't know what the average age is for the American male, but you're not going to make it with the crazy shit you do.
Stop saying that. Don't put that shit in the universe, man. Like, I'm doing fine.
Okay.
I'm just slightly accident prone is all. I don't know why.
Great. And then you nearly incinerated yourself over a hot dog, but that's great. What's next? What's 4?
Yeah, there is still singed hair. You can see the little isn't growing back yet.
All right, what's 4?
4 is bacon. I prefer my bacon crispy.
Yeah,
Cook that.
I don't want it super crispy.
You don't? Oh,
no, I don't want it brittle and breaking apart. No.
I love that. Brittle. Okay. All right, 5, hot dogs. 4, bacon. 3, any potato product. Like chips, burn them. I love the burnt chips in the bag. Or French fries. Those suckers better come out crunchy. Or hash browns. Don't give those things to me white on my plate. And I don't need onions and cheese. Just make them come out crispy and brown. Baked potato, probably not. But you get my point.
All right.
You don't
it's
agree?
funny.
No?
No, not like that. No. I want them done though. Yeah, I don't want to eat raw potato, but it's not. I don't need it to be. Right now, you're literally you're charring everything, and I don't know that I need to go with that.
Okay. So to the point of being well done, right? Doesn't have to be burnt per se, but number 2 on my list, if you had to go not cooked all the way or well done, I don't know where you stand, but don't you dare serve me eggs with any runny whites. I will start gagging at the table. Cook the whites. Now, here's my problem. I really like runny yolks.
Yeah.
Well, here's the problem. I love runny yolks, but I find that the gamble isn't worth it.
You're just going to go over medium and call it good.
I'm going to go over hard. Fry the egg completely or scramble it.
Yeah, but why don't you just break it and call it good?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, not every chef can pull that off miraculously, and you either get a super, like, overdone.
Worth their weight can do that. I would tell you. I don't know. I'm the opposite. So I like an egg sunny side up, or I like it over with the runny yolk. But if you hard boil the egg, I will not eat the yolk. I will throw it out. I will.
Really?
Yes, I will not eat a yolk in a hard boiled egg.
Because it's too dry?
I don't know. It's the same reason I won't eat a raisin, but I'll eat Raisin Bran. I have certain things in my life that make sense.
There's raisins. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Here's
I know.
Number 1.
That's how dumb is that? No, give me a box of raisins. I will. If there was the last thing I had to eat on earth, I might eat a raisin to stay alive. But if I had Raisin Bran in the house, I'd eat it right now. I know. It doesn't make sense. These things happen. Just move on. Okay. It's your list.
Number 1. Pizza.
No.
Oh.
Overdoing pizza is a sin.
Oh, no, it's not. I will argue that till the cows come home. I want it burnt. Burn it. Literally, I will say that to Max Pub and Grill. I want a 12-inch pepperoni and mushroom. Burn it. I want to pick it up and not have it be floppy. I want it to crisp crunch when I bite it. Just hopefully it doesn't burn the roof of my mouth off. Yes, burn a pizza. Shocker, we don't agree on food.
And then don't put mushrooms on it. That's just awful.
Okay. It's a fungus. I don't eat fungus. You eat raisins, but you don't. Okay, whatever.
No, I just don't like a mushroom for a lot of reasons. It's gross, but that's fine. Cool.
To each their own. Burn the pizza.
Rummage through the forest and go, yeah, let's eat that. That seems cool.
We're back, the Inside Wisconsin show. Trevor Thomas, John Anderson, Travis Beckum, UW Athletic Hall of Famer. Trav, what's that like? You're a Hall of Famer now back on campus, helping, as you said in the last segment, bring brands to life with the Motion W. But you played there and you partied there most likely. So what's it like being back as a responsible adult?
Being back as a responsible adult when I don't party anymore, comes with the territory of partying comes the hangovers, which are now like 9 days. But it's awesome to see the transgression and where the university is going. I mean, when you look at the new practice, the indoor practice facility, or you look at the dorms, or you just look at campus in general, I'm super, super peanut butter and jealous of the fact that these students now have pool rooftops. I can only imagine. It's probably actually a good thing now that I think about it, that we didn't have a pool rooftop. But yeah, I think the way that this campus, this university is going as a whole, I'm all in favor for, and I'm just glad that I can be a part of the ride.
For those that don't know, or those that haven't lived it up close, because obviously our audience is Wisconsin cheesehead. What's game day like at Camp Randall when you wear the jersey?
It's unbelievable. It's and the thing is that now it's like you said earlier, I'm on the other side. I'm from the outside looking in and being able to watch these guys follow the path that I was on and the older guys who paved the pathway for these guys. But it's unbelievable. It's the tradition, the history, the excitement. I mean, there's one thing to be said about jump around, but when you get tingles every single time, like it's coming. And typically, there's a lot of things in life that if you know it's coming, it hits you a different way. But but it hits you the same exact way every single time when you're in that stadium and you see the jump around. And I'm just glad that I just want the student athletes to never take it for granted, the opportunity and the privilege that they have to put that helmet and uniform on.
So you didn't get paid in college. However, you did figure out how to get paid wearing a helmet. Drafted in the NFL, number 100 overall to the Giants, and he got a Super Bowl ring to prove it. But there was a moment as a Wisconsin kid that you wrecked some Wisconsin kid dreams. You knocked the Packers out of the playoffs at Lambeau Field.
By a lot.
How was that? Oh, yeah, it wasn't good.
Well,
So,
how
was that, Trev?
It was extremely bittersweet, and of course, I would have loved to be drafted by the Packers. It's awesome. It's extremely full circle to where now I'm doing card signings with guys that I grew up watching. My first autograph was Leroy Butler, and now I'm doing card signings with them and events and Santana Dotson and Gilbert Brown. But it's a part of the process, and it was my second year. Green Bay, I think it was my second year that Green Bay whooped on us. We went to Lambeau. They whooped on us pretty bad. And then my third year, when we actually won the Super Bowl, they came to New York. They whooped on us pretty bad again. And it was the year that we got super hot and went to Green Bay in the second round of the playoffs. And you know what happened after that. I did have the privilege of doing the Lambeau Leap, but it was to Giants fans, not Packer fans. But it was bittersweet. It almost felt like it was home base to me. But I will forever be grateful of the team that gave me the opportunity to live my dream, and that's the New York Giants.
Did you have to line up tickets that week too? Like,
oh yeah,
madhouse.
Yeah, it was bad. It was. I mean, even in New York, everyone wanted tickets to the game. And what's worse about New York is they think that you have the ability to take them on all these tours of New York City, and it's like, nope, you got to go down the street, take the ferry, get over there. You're on your own. But no, it's always good to have that support and have that fan base come out and cheer you on.
I've been there, and I've never once seen you drive the big red double-decker bus to show people around. So you mentioned your mom. Who else? Like, I've got to get tickets. Who else was in that support group? Who else made sure that Travis Beckum was a successful kid?
Yeah, so I think my sister, my friends were a huge part of my journey, and really just building those relationships. There was a lot of friends back home that came. There were a lot of friends that obviously that I built relationships with in New York that came and were a huge part of my support system. And I don't necessarily miss New York, but I do miss the relationships that you build. And I think that's what life is about, is building those relationships. And unfortunately, what comes with all that success and the tickets and stuff, like you over the years, you do kind of figure out who's real and who's not. And I think it's a part of the process, and which is why I'm super in tune with being able to tell that story to the younger guys now and say, hey, everything isn't always greener on the other side, and just to kind of go in more so. I want to say it was a glass half full.
So people tend to think Wisconsin, right? We're all farmers. You grew up in Milwaukee. That's a city. That's a big city. And yet, the first time I went to New York, I can still remember a dear friend of mine whose dad, who grew up in Brooklyn, said, you can't take the subway. It's not built for kids from Wisconsin. Did you find any big city things that you thought, okay, I'm still prepared for this, I'm okay, and then you just went, wow, okay, New York is not Wisconsin?
Yeah. I mean, I think you find that out right away, that people are more aggressive. Everyone has somewhere to be. You walk in Times Square, people are rude. You hold the door for somebody and they don't say thank you. And it's almost like, oh, yeah, okay, well, excuse you. And then I think just people are just much more aggressive. And again, I think that comes with the territory. And again, I mean, I don't miss New York a ton. again, I do miss those relationships. But it does take adjusting. And when people talk about that hospitality and the respect from people in the Midwest, I do think that's actually a real thing.
Our buddy Pete Lee is a stand-up comedian from Janesville, Wisconsin, and he spends a lot of time in New York. And he tells a joke about literally walking down the street and wanting to be Midwest nice and saying hi to people in New York. You'd be like, hi. And people from New York go, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But you got on their good side, Trav. I mean, you won a Super Bowl. So take us through what that was like as an athlete, college, high school, professional, Super Bowl ring. Sorry about the knee, but how was
it? So obviously my dream was always to play in the NFL, and to win a Super Bowl was that much more. And my first 2 years in New York, we didn't make the playoffs, and it was my third year, and we needed to win the last 2 games in order to even make the playoffs. And we got hot, and Atlanta came into New York. We beat them. Had to go to Lambeau and beat the Packers, and then had to beat go to San Francisco and had to beat a really good San Francisco football team. Had to take a few licks from Patrick Willis. But again, and then you go and play a Tom Brady when he was in his prime and a Gronk. So you play the Patriots out in Indianapolis, and just the whole experience of because I've gone to Super Bowl parties before as a spectator, and it's just completely different when you know that it's you. And the week before when you're out there is just straight focus, and you run on that field, and it's just like, man, you feel like you're at the top of the world. Until the second quarter, as you brought up, I tore my ACL in the Super Bowl, but I would tear my other ACL for another Super Bowl ring. And the thing is that that Super Bowl ring and being a Super Bowl champion is something that no one can ever take from me.
So we've touched on Barry Alvarez, and he's a Mount Rushmore guy. He's universally beloved. We see Vince Lombardi as the history of the Packers. You know him. Tell me about Tom Coughlin, because he just seems mean.
Yeah, so it's funny that everyone always says that. So
yes.
He's actually a really good dude. Really, really, really good dude. And I think it all changed because I was chatting with some of the older guys as far as Coughlin, and I think it really changed from the 2000 Super Bowl team. And earlier in the year, he was super hard on the guys, and I think his wife said something to him that he needs to chill out. He needs to take a different approach. He needs to be able to relate differently to the guys. And that year they ended up going to the Super Bowl, and that personality kind of carried out. But from the outside looking in, he does look super hard and tough and mean, but he's actually a genuinely good person. And does a great job of connecting with his players, teaching them the process of becoming a young man and things to do on and off the field to grow your brand. So I'm a big fan of Tom Coughlin, but yes, he does from the outside looking in like a tough guy, but he's not as tough as he looks.
He just would like you to be on time.
Yeah, exactly. TC, yeah, I and that's the thing is. I mean, he was 5 minutes. Everything was set the clock 5 minutes early for everything. And I think it's a good trait to have. I'm always early for everything. I don't like to just be on time because he said, if you're on time, you're late. So it's a learning experience, and it's something that is going to carry. I'm going to carry with me the rest of my life.
So, Trav, anybody affiliated with the state of Wisconsin or maybe from a Packers affiliation that have gone to the Super Bowl, we always ask this question. Tell us a story about the Super Bowl that is behind the scenes that nobody else would know.
Yeah. So after the game, I realized like a lot of my buddies, they put a bunch of money on what color the Gatorade was going to be. And I was just extremely confused as to why they just wouldn't ask me what color the Gatorade was going to be. There's just so much money that the guys put up and they lose, or you can have the ability to win so much. And I'm like, all you had to do was just ask. So I don't know if that's a good story, but it always just, I'm just always baffled when people are like, they have to guess the Gatorade. And I'm like, all you need to do is have somebody on the inside to tell you which color the Gatorade is going to be.
What color was it?
It was purple.
Always?
I only won one Super Bowl.
No, I meant like, how did you know what the Gatorade color was going to be that game?
Well, how early do you have to put that bet in? And in worst case scenario, all I got to do is talk to the Gatorade guys. Like,
there's Gatorade
talk
guys?
to our team. There's in the NFL, they are so strategic in what they do. Everything is consistent. There's a story behind everything. It's strategically placed everywhere. So all I had to really do is just reach out to our nutrition staff and just say, hey, what color is the Gatorade going to be?
Jeepers! We could have been sitting on a fortune, Trev.
I guess now you know.
It is the hardest part, I think, of watching athletes. I'm now 60, and I feel like I've watched a bunch of them, so I have an idea. Is that anybody's career, when it ends, whether it is 15 years, whether it is 2, careers end, and you are young men, right? Old athletes are still young men. How did you start making the transition away from the game?
Yeah, good question. So that was probably the toughest part of my career was making that transition. And when you are in a position to provide financially for yourself just by going out and playing a sport that you love, but you physically can't do anymore, like that really is life changing. And is trying to figure out, okay, well, what's next? What is life after football? Which is an extremely hard pill to swallow. Is like, now I have to figure out what's next. And I think it's always good to have options. Obviously, again, like I said, I had a pretty good support system around me, and thankfully I've built enough relationships throughout my career to where I can, if I needed something, I could depend on someone, and just be thinking outside the box, being relational, networking, gave me the ability to figure out my career path after life after football.
And before we get to that, I want this follow-up question, because I think sometimes this is what people miss. So, like, I get you do miss the paycheck because that pays really well. How do you replace the game day experience, the adrenaline, the juice of going out there? And no matter how good you do in this job, no matter how well, like, there's just not 80,000 people there telling me how good. Like, how do you replace that?
Yeah, it's hard to. It's hard to replace that. But one of the things that I had the ability to do was still find a role in a job that I was still passionate about. And I've had multiple of them. And you have to look at it a different way. Like I started up my own DJ company and being able to DJ weddings and have people reach out that I had an impact on their wedding, and I was able to change their experience and bring something to them that they never thought that they could have. And that was my touchdown. Or getting into medical device sales and having surgeons reach out to me and say, hey, Travis, like, thank you so much. You were able to get me out of this procedure. And like, that's my touchdown. Obviously not with 80,000 fans screaming, and I really didn't hear them screaming while I was playing anyway. So just being able to have an impact and have a purpose and feel needed was extremely important to me. And now that I have the ability to tell this same story to the current student athletes.
That always blows my mind that you don't hear the fans while you're playing. I hit a really long softball in beer league softball the other night, and I heard the dugout scream because they thought it was gone, as did I. Wind blew it back in.
I love it. Yeah, I just, for some reason, I blacked everything out, and it was just kind of one of those things where I'm in my zone, and that's all I know.
One more quick one before we go to break. So you zone it out, which I can appreciate, I guess. Did you get to go out and celebrate the Super Bowl victory after you blew your ACL? Were you able to be out there on crutches, or what was that like?
I did. I was on pain medication. And yeah, you wouldn't even know I tore my ACL. I was on crutches, but I did get to experience everything with the team. But was at the Super Bowl parties with the celebrities, and thankfully everything was hosted downstairs. But yeah, like I said, I was on crutches, but I absolutely was not going to miss the opportunity to celebrate with my teammates.
That's awesome. All right, we will wrap it up with Travis Beckum on the Inside Wisconsin Show. Hang tight.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaines Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Amplify Health, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
4th of July weekend, J.A., and it starts with going to Festival Foods. We pack the coolers, we make sure we got everything, and then we get up there.
Of all the times you talk about festival foods, and especially the holidays, we always talk about big. I'm not sure I want your budget when you're getting ready to go somewhere up north with the beer and the meats and the cheeses and entertaining. I don't even want to know what that. I don't know that that's in my budget. I don't know that I wouldn't have to take out a second mortgage on the house. I feel like you just wrecked that place.
Yeah, and 2 teenage boys. I mean, we have a 15 and a 13-year-old boy living with us right now that are our children, and literally,
well, they should be living with you. You make it sound like it's unusual. We have this 15 and 13-year-old boy living up. Yeah, I'm assuming they're going to be there probably till they're 18 or older.
Or older. I'm guessing. I'll take the over on these boys. Literally, their football coach the other day said, "Hey, eat your parents out of house and home this year, okay? This summer, eat all the things." They're trying, and they will do the same for 4th of July weekend. So we'll stock up at Festival Foods. We'll head north, and we want to make sure you know where you should head for all things Festival Foods fireworks. Go to festfoods.com/fireworks. There are 32 Festival Foods fireworks shows in Wisconsin. They've been doing this for communities since 1991. If there is an amazing fireworks show here in Wisconsin, most likely it came from our friends at Festival Foods. So our thanks to them for helping bring communities to life on 4th of July weekend. And thank you for having your shelves stocked. Yeah. What do you think, just out of curiosity as we finish this up, what is our monthly grocery budget? What do you think that is?
I can't even hazard a guess what it is. Does it have a comma in it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's enough. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, it's just over $1,000 a month.
Yeah, I'm still with a decimal point, but that's okay. It's
good for you.
Even our kids weren't gigantic eaters when it came to that, but I can see that. I remember when my dad was working back in the day, and my 2 older brothers who were big, they're not quite as tall, they were big strapping guys, and I can see still my mom taking a loaf of bread and making that for sandwiches, and then giving to a loaf of bread every day. Went through milk like crazy. We weren't quite the Knipples, but we did some damage.
We are back, the Inside Wisconsin Show, wrapping it up with Travis Beckum of UW Athletic Hall of Fame. Football pads, helmet, Super Bowl ring. We covered it. 2 for me, then the JA Lightning Round. So if research serves me right, there was only 1 Packer drafted before you in the 2009 NFL draft, ironically a linebacker, Clay Matthews. Are we over it? Can you be a Packers fan now, being from Wisconsin? Do you ever go back to games at Lambeau?
No, I don't go back to Lambeau. But the thing is now that you say that about Clay Matthews being drafted to the Packers, Clay Matthews was probably one of the least people that I wanted to block. They did this whole technique where they headbutted you and they shocked you, and I had a bad neck, so I get stingers really early, and I just remember being in huddles and kind of peeking out to see Eli would be calling a play, and I'd be looking to see what side is Clay on, and then of course it'd be on my side. I'm damn, here we go again, and it's just I'd lose all strength in my shoulder, so I'm trying to block him with one hand. I mean, I'd lose. I'd probably have to sit out a play. It was tough, but yeah, I think. Again, I would have loved to put on that Packers uniform, but the Giants will forever hold that spot in my heart.
Understood. Last one for me, and I asked John this question a lot too. Being in sports and having played as a professional athlete, or like John being at Sports Center for 25 years, is there anybody that you would be starstruck meeting from an athletic standpoint, or is it just what it is?
I don't know about starstruck. I mean, I would maybe Jordan, but I don't know if starstruck would be the word. There's a ton of guys that I respect, but I don't know if starstruck would be the word. But I would say probably Jordan would be top on that list.
The correct
Jay,
answer.
you ever meet Jordan?
The correct answer is Lindsey Vaughn. But yes, I have.
You have met Jordan, yeah?
I have.
Lindsey Vaughn.
Both in media scrums, right, where they just grab him and he's walking off because he doesn't have time to talk to 90 people, and then briefly in a more private ESPN kind of thing. Yeah. But you find, and I've told Trevor this all the time, what you find is they're all just regular people.
Yeah.
And they, to some degree, want to be treated that way. But you have to respect what they are. You can't downplay it and go, "Oh, really? Only 6 titles?" Because then they get pissed off because they're like, "Yeah, only 6."
Yeah,
and they really are, right? But other than that, if you treat them like, with the respect of the position that they've earned, then they're very much, can I get you a Coke? And they will say
exactly.
Yes. And they will say thank you when it comes to it. So,
All
right, we're going to zip through these. Are you ready?
Yep.
You are 5th in career catches and receiving yards. Where are you on the all-time rushing list for the Badgers?
No idea.
You are 245th with 25 yards. Congratulations.
Where does that rank among tight ends?
That I don't know. We don't specific. This is rushing. We're not,
Okay.
We're still there. How many seasons have the Badgers played football?
130.
Man, you are close. 133. I think that's within the range for sure, plus or minus. Do you know who O.W. Shattuck is?
O.W. Shattuck. I do not.
He was the crazy defensive end in North Dallas 40, played by Oak Creek's John Matuzak.
Oh, I know John Matuzak. Does that count?
Yes, it does. Trev, do you know John Matuzak?
3 degrees of cheese. No, I have no idea.
He was the number 1 draft pick overall. 72 maybe by the Oilers.
Oh, where of?
Yeah, and he was number 1 pick. Who was the number 1 pick in your 2009 draft? And my God, the man's still playing.
Who was it?
Matthew Stafford. And he's still playing.
Wow.
And especially, as you said, given your athletic ability, I don't know how far this guy is behind you, but I want the best athlete in your neighborhood growing up, but it wasn't you. Best
athlete in my neighborhood. Like some twins. There is the short little twins. They're good wrestlers at UW. But yeah, that's probably who I would have to say.
All right. You mentioned the women's team. If I give you 1 ticket, are you going to go see volleyball? Are you going to see hockey? Which UW team are you going to go see?
I can't single them out. You can't put me on a list like that. I'm going to see them all, but I do love our women's volleyball. Our women's hockey is unbelievable. So I'm going to figure out a way to. And also, I don't need the ticket. I can just go for free. So I'll give the ticket to somebody
Rub
else.
it in, Trav. Rub it in.
Hold on, Dodge there. So when you're DJing, how many people came to you and wanted to hear the jump around?
Oh, good question. It depends on where I was at, but I would probably say 5 people. We were at a work convention or a work summit 2 weeks ago, and we did karaoke, and I was getting requests for jump around.
In the jump around, what did the band come to do in the lyrics?
Jump
they
around.
Came to get down. They came to get down.
Came to get down. To get down. Jump
around. Okay. What's your order at Mickey's Dairy Bar?
A steak, or not a steak, a sausage and egg scrambler.
Okay, good. Best place you lived in college. You talk about the nice place. Give me the best place you lived in college, and does anybody live there now that you know?
Best place that I lived at. It was probably Lucky. It was the first year, and I'm sure there's multiple student athletes that live there.
Best bowl game swag.
I think we got like a PSP, kind of like a short, like a portable PlayStation.
Yeah, back in the day, that'd have been totally cool. Do you have a pet?
Do I have a pet?
Mm-hmm.
No, unfortunately, she passed last October, but that was my best friend. She was
Oh
a
no,
dog.
what was it?
Yeah,
Dog?
She was a Rottweiler.
And we haven't gotten a puppy to replace it yet.
No, not yet. Not yet. Probably have a baby first, but no puppies as of yet.
Better passer, Tyler Donovan or Eli Manning?
You really put me on the spot, huh? Eli.
I think.
Don't send this to Tyler.
Probably a safe choice. Is Michael Strahan on TV too much?
No, Strahan is a very good dude.
He's on TV way too much. Is the answer?
Yeah.
So back to the DJ. Can you polka?
Can I polka? I cannot polka. I can play the music. I cannot polka.
All right, that's good. Largest dinner check you ever picked up?
Oh, I think like 9,000.
I feel like there should be a story there.
I had to warn my financial advisor about this one. This was my rookie dinner, and the guys are just ordering freaking $800 bottles of wine and the most expensive stuff, and it wasn't as bad as like Hakeem Nicks when he was drafted in the first round. I think his was like 40-something thousand, but they get you.
I'm down with some of that. I don't like when they order stuff to take home, right? Like, just let's keep it in the restaurant.
Yeah, they get you. They absolutely get you.
Did you have a favorite Milwaukee Buck?
Oh, good question. Probably Ray Allen.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Finally, what New Jersey Turnpike rest stop is just outside the Meadowlands there?
The Turnpike?
Yeah. There's a very famous restaurant right out there. Think Packers.
I don't know.
I can't believe you've never been to the Vince Lombardi Travel Plaza. It's right there.
Oh, really?
It's right there.
I didn't know that.
Okay, so we need to help you get the full New York experience, I guess, when you go back. You probably know what train to take to probably get into Vince Lombardi the restaurant, man. Hey, thanks so much. We love having Badgers on this show because they are really the essence of sort of inside Wisconsin. You guys are giants when you play there. All the success. I don't think anybody begrudges the Giants coming in to beat them when it's done by somebody like you and your squad.
Yeah.
The Plexico maybe might never be able to come to town, but the rest of y'all got it. And it's great that you're back. It's great that you're helping the Badgers win now, like you did back in the day. And we appreciate you having you here on Inside Wisconsin.
I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure.
We want you to do a whole lot more than just save money. We want your money to grow, just like your dreams. We want you to achieve financial well-being and the feelings that go along with that. Capital Credit Union, doing the right thing.
J.A., over the years, how many celebrity golf outings have you been a part of? That's where I met Travis at the Children's Wisconsin Open with Brian Butch and a whole bunch of other Wisconsin celebrities.
I don't know. I could put a number on them. It's not like 100. I always worry because you like the celebrity thing, and then you're like, I hope you guys don't think I'm the celebrity, and I hope you don't think I'm the A player, because both those are going to be hugely disappointing for you if that's how this goes. But it's always kind of fun to grab one. As we're taping this right now, is a day. If I was in Connecticut, usually right when I come back from track, I go and do one for the Walter Camp Foundation, which is great because it's just loaded up with old guys that played college football when I was a kid, right? It's where I got to meet and get to know Archie Griffin or Pete Johnson. That's always kind of really fun. These guys that were college greats, David Fulcher, who's in there, and you're just like Ken Huff, who played at North Carolina. It was a great offensive line. He was on the Hogs and different things. So I always enjoy that part of it. I always find way more people I think are interesting to visit with and be a part of and watch that. And like I said, as long as they're totally fine with me shanking a wedge, then it's always a good time.
It was a really good time. It was at Butamore Country Club in Appleton, Brian Butch's golf outing, Children's Wisconsin, which is Children's Hospital of Wisconsin, both in Milwaukee and then obviously their affiliates here in Northeast Wisconsin. he was there. Tarek Sala was there. Got to meet him in person, and a whole bunch of other Badger greats. Matt LePay.
By the way, if you went to the National Spelling Bee and gave him Butamore, how many kids would that knock out?
All of them. Because I doubt that's the way you actually pronounce it, right? Is it
Like
Butamore?
Yeah, like Butamore is how I've
Yeah,
always.
but how do they pronounce it in French? I think it's French.
Yeah, but I think everybody. Well, that's like here in Missouri. There's a Versailles, spelled like Versailles.
Versailles. True.
How many people can spell? How many people can say Bonduel instead of Bonduel? Like these things happen. I've always heard of it as Butamore. I think that's that's ours. I'm just saying that I don't think any of them kids up there with the fancy spelling and the glasses would get Butamore on the first shot.
No, they wouldn't. Country of origin? Oshkosh?
Yeah, exactly.
Funny. Mm-hmm. All right, Jay, what's the latest tale from John, Wisconsin for this episode?
So this is just again, sometimes they're lengthy and windy and sometimes they're brief. So I was just finished up at the NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championship. Boom, season over, last one. So the track season was always important when it was over because then I feel like I could kind of break training a little bit. I didn't go crazy, but I didn't have to worry about it. So I thought both times my birthday always came in the heart of the track season, right? Early May. And so I just thought I'd take you through. So my 18th birthday, right? Now I'm pretty good. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to, so the knuckleheads that I call friends, they gave me a 6-pack of Moosehead beer. And then it had a master lock on it, but it was just a master lock on a shoestring. And it was just hung over the beer. And so that stayed in my room for a while. My mom, I can still see my mom coming. I'm like, first off, what is that? And why do you just have beer in your room? You're not, I know you're 18, but this seems a fairly bold play. And I said, but you see, look, it's got literally an old white shoelace and a master lock on it. It's do not open until after the season, which I thought was funny. They thought was funny. My mom is still baffled to this day exactly as to why that was maybe humorous. But we did eventually get around to drinking the Moosehead beer, which is always good. Moosehead was very big for a time. I don't know if we were boycotting the Molson or what, but I've always been more of a Moosehead guy. Then when I was 21, and by the way, when I double checked this last night, I was so proud of myself because I remembered it correctly. So my 21st birthday, we were leaving the next day for the Big 8 meet. And so a bunch of buddies of mine, we went out and we're like, oh, there's $2 pitchers during the Cardinal game. We'll go watch the Cardinal game. This will be fine. It'll be great. We'll be, we have a little time. Except the Cardinal game went 13 innings.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So I went back and looked last night and I'm like, yes, it was the Dodgers and they did win in 13. I might have guessed 14 when I first told the story, but it's 13. So I may have had a one too many as I got poured onto the bus to go out I think we went back to Lincoln, Nebraska that year. But yeah, so as often as I've had to find classmates on those significant birthdays where I've had to, one guy I brought home and then we had to go search for him because he got away. That was a hard thing. That was a hard thing. They called me and like, hey, do you have Dave? And I'm like, no, I brought Dave home. And because obviously, right, I'm the super jokey guy. They're like, Dave's not home. Where do you have Dave? I'm like, I promise. Like I stepped over another guy's ex-girlfriend she was having a hard time with the breakup. So she was right there sleeping outside the door. I'm like, I literally stepped over Kimberly to get, and they're like, okay, yeah, Kimberly's still out there. So he must've brought him home. And, but we eventually tracked him down. He was in the front yard of an ex-girlfriend's doing lawn jobs. It was not a pretty thing. So I had two relatively tame ones, but every time track season finishes up, I can always think, oh, now I can go have that Moosehead beer, or now I can go back to the bar after the 13-inning Cardinal game. So I don't know what yours was like. Did you have you probably drinking, it was just 21, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to have two, and neither one of them was very, as you can tell, neither one of them, there's a very good story at all for John, Wisconsin. How at 21, did you go crazy? I can see you going nuts. I can see
I went pretty nuts. Back then, the goal was 21 shots on your 21st birthday, and that was dumb. Just dumb.
Yeah. I can see where you probably weren't at your best judgment on there.
Yeah, no.
That's where we need people to help you. That's where somebody needs to put a master lock, even if it's with a shoestring, so that you get the idea.
I needed a master lock for the next 18 years after that, too. Whatever. Figured it out. Here we are. I want more John Wisconsin college stories. That would be fun. Maybe in the future.
Oh, my poor boy, Dave.
All right. Our thanks to Travis Beckum for joining us on today's episode of the Inside Wisconsin Show. Remember, like us, comment, subscribe, do all the things on social. Just follow along. We really appreciate you. For John, I am Trevor, as you were, Wisconsin. We'll see you next time.
The shack has changed, but the griddle itself has stayed the same, over 109 years old.
The griddle is the same griddle from the beginning?
It is. So it's 109 years old.
Farmers, brewers, hunters, packers, badgers, cheeseheads, neighbors. No matter what name we go by, we are bound together by our roots. These are the people, the stories, and the patriotism from inside Wisconsin. Welcome to Deeper Roots with Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Back in Jefferson, Wisconsin, my hometown, for another episode of Deeper Roots with Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Robbie Wadle, Wadle's Hamburger Stand, or Peterson's, or Armstrong's.
Becker's.
I think this goes back a minute.
It goes back.
We probably shouldn't try to name them all.
Yeah.
Robbie, so good to be here, man. So good to be home. To say that this is the most iconic spot in Jefferson, people may argue that, but it is to me, and I know it is to you. What has this hamburger stand meant to the community?
I think it meant a lot to the community. When you go to other places, you've probably seen it too, you say Jefferson, what do they say? Oh, the hamburger stand. I always see too, when people are always chit-chatting with each other. See their buddy, oh, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. You saw them at the hamburger stand. Just that sense of community here.
Yeah, if you haven't had a long conversation with a complete stranger on the bench waiting for your burgers and fries, you're missing out. I definitely think you should come by. So your family bought it in 2007 from the Petersons.
I worked for Bill for 5 years, loved it, and he offered it to run it. We ended up buying it, kind of like a dream come true.
Do you remember when you first started working here? How old were you?
15 years old. I was a sophomore in high school when I first started here.
Flipping burgers.
Yep.
When you guys bought it, was there certain things that were like, hey, we're gonna sell it to you, but here are the do's and here are the absolute cannots?
Biggest thing is just passing down that tradition is what he taught me. This is how we do it. This is, the tradition. Keep it this way and you'll be successful.
Take me back to the history of this place. When did that burger shack get built for the first time?
It started in 1960. It started with an August Burkholz. He had a grocery store, and out on the front where the shack is, he had a little cart they did burgers out of. And eventually it evolved into a shack. And it just kept growing and growing ever since then. The shack has changed, but the griddle itself has stayed the same, over 109 years old.
The griddle is the same griddle from the beginning?
It is. So it's 109 years old.
How does that pass health code?
It's cast iron, just like your cast iron skillet at home. So you don't wash it, you wipe it out and clean it. It's not unsanitary or nothing. The more you cook on it, the better it gets, just like wine.
That is the truth. And bourbon and whiskey and all those
there you go.
things. Not so much beer. Part of the lure is how you make the burgers. Do you know if the original recipe is still what you use today?
It is.
The flavor that comes off of that griddle has been the same since I was a kid. I went to school, K through 8, literally right up the road. I can see the playground from where we're sitting on Racine Street here in downtown Jefferson. I can't tell you how many times, whether it was walking here after school, or I used to bat boy for the Blue Devils when I was a kid. We'd walk over here after those games. Do you see that this is still a destination for people in the community?
When you go back to the school, the kids, they walk by, they come in for ice cream. The Blue Devils games, even the high school games, they always come up here after the game or before, get burgers.
What are some of the best memories you have?
Even before I worked here, I remember grabbing a bag of burgers with my buddy and going down and fishing at the dam. And then when I got working here, I think just having that camaraderie with other, my buddies and meeting the people and just enjoying it. I mean, it's a fun job.
How do you get the burger to be the same every time? I want you to teach me that without stealing any secrets, of course. There's a method to this madness.
There is. People think it's easy. It involves a lot of grease, basically a homemade spatula, a hot griddle.
109-year-old griddle helps.
And a lot of practice.
Am I going to fit in the shack?
You might have to measure you first.
Let's go in there. Teach me your ways, oh wise one.
Okay.
I'm nervous. I literally grew up in this town. I've never stepped foot in there. It's almost like sacrilegious, frankly. Yeah. All right, Robbie, let's do this. Wow, okay. First time. Wow.
It dips down though.
Oh my gosh, I've never been in here. It's so amazing. I'm just taking this in. I can't tell you how many times I've come here,
Yeah.
and I've never been in here. This is the one you cook on, though, right?
This is the one we cook on. This is the 109-year-old one.
Yeah, you're right. I cannot stand up in here. This is as good as it's gonna get right here.
This is how we start every morning. We dump our fresh onions on every morning.
How long do you leave these? I mean, I'm not trying to
I mean,
no secrets
usually
here,
about hour and a half.
And you're not in here like stir frying them up. They just hang out.
Just hang out. They slowly cook in that.
How many onions are in there?
It's probably about 10.
So you're mixing up the onions now, and then I know that every last burger I have ever eaten here, you stick that homemade spatula, which is incredible,
Yep.
into that grease.
Yep. You notice that it starts with a little bit of grease. That's the lard in the morning. But by the end of the day, this is full of grease.
Every morning you mix the meat. If memory serves me right, they come in little meatballs.
Yep.
Boom, there they are. And you grab them with the pitchfork.
So,
I'm gonna do a lot of like,
so these are our burgers. They're 1/8 of a pound. What you do is you come, put them on the griddle. You get your spatula all oiled up, and you put this down, put your front down like a pivot, and you smash out
smash out.
and push out, just like that.
I would assume that took you a minute to perfect,
A
but
little bit, I'd say, 20 some years.
give or take.
Yep.
And now, obviously, this is tilted a little bit on purpose, right? Because you don't want to cook them in it, but you obviously need it to cook it.
It's tilted just so the grease settles down here, so that it keeps the grease, so we can keep using it.
How long does it take for those to like become what you want them to become?
They take about 10 minutes, start to finish.
No kidding. If it's anything like cooking on a smoker, no touchy. Only flip it once.
Yep, so it'll get gray around there like that. See how it's like it cooked? And you just go and flip them.
Whoa. You don't flip with the spatula?
I do sometimes.
That was impressive.
It's just kind of.
Yeah, you're a pro.
So like if you want cheese on them, we grab our cheese. These are our buns. So I was always taught, and I try to teach my employees now, is I call it Pac-Man. Balance it on your 2 fingers, pinch it between here, and you grab your burger, you put it on the corner, like that.
Pac-Man.
Pull away. Pac-Man.
And you dump off the
Yep.
grease.
And then if you want your onions,
Pac-Man again.
Boom.
And now you put that in the little paper sleeve,
Yep. Wrap it up.
and that's the pickup window.
There you go.
You're up. May I man the station?
Sure.
Coming in.
Get
Watch
your
your
bun.
Okay.
First
See, I
off.
hit my head right away. All right, so I remember, you gotta get them first. And you use this.
Yep.
You grabbed 2. So I'm gonna attempt, oh my gosh. I can't even get this on the, okay, Robbie.
I can help you. I can help you.
No, all right, I
that
got it.
one's small.
All right, you good? We all right? You don't like that one?
I don't like that one.
Okay.
Let's do this.
Difficult. Training is difficult. All right, they're on there. All right, you gotta wipe it in the grease. Push down and push. Oh my God. I am not getting hired anytime soon. How'd I do? No, I mean,
Hey,
don't
not bad.
answer that.
Hey, stop.
Okay, stop it.
That's
Moving it forward.
Yep.
Do it again. Move it over.
The more you mess with it, the worse it falls apart.
Yeah, the more you mess with it.
All right, stop.
Stopping.
Nope. Hey, that's not bad.
Yeah, that was a good one. I'm colorblind, Robbie. Why don't you just tell me when they're ready?
You could probably flip them.
Okay, you want a cheeseburger? Yes or no? Move that camera up and down, or yeah? Cheeseburger, got it, okay.
Cheeseburger?
All right, got it. Boop. This is the part that I'm gonna fail. I'm grabbing this.
There you go.
Is that it? Are those done?
Let the cheese melt a
Okay.
little more. I know. Can't rush perfection.
Yeah, you can't. Best burger around, that is for sure.
Oh, you want a double or a single?
How about this? I'll try a single. A bit.
Pull it away. Yep.
That's a hot puppy if you don't get that right.
Tilt it that way.
That way, yeah.
Yep.
Do you work in a team like this?
There's three people in here? Yeah. Sometimes 4.
I don't see an air conditioner.
Right here.
That sucks the hot air out.
Yeah.
That's
Try
the
some
one.
onions.
Get into the bottom of this.
There you go. See? You're hired.
I am not hired. This is not built for a fella my size. There's an insane story about this burger stand from when I was a kid, late 90s. Someone was having a medical emergency and they literally drove through the hamburger stand. Somehow, nobody was killed. There was workers in the stand when this happened.
When that happened, I was young. I think I was in like 8th grade when it happened. There was a gentleman that came from a bar. His accelerator stuck and he plowed through multiple vehicles, plowed through the hamburger stand. Kept on going and actually dragged griddle all the way down to the corn and stop lights underneath the car.
It's crazy.
And they found the griddle in the city dump, after everything was picked up.
What? I did not know that part of the story.
It's quite the story.
You're a part of the community as much as anybody with owning this stand. What are some of the things that your family has done to make sure that it doesn't change And what are those plans for the future?
Staying true to the roots. Don't fix what's not broken. It's worked for 109 years, so why change it? Two, I think a lot of the people in this town uphold us to the high standard. It can't change. You change it, they're gonna let you know.
Well, I think so.
You know, and that's the thing of it. Like they said when we bought it, yeah, we bought the business for so much, but you're really buying the recipe. Just now that we use actually farm fresh beef. We keep it local, so we actually go to the farm and get our beef.
Dude, I'm so grateful. I could probably spend all of Deeper Roots in Jefferson County telling my deep-rooted stories. This is definitely one of them. This is so cool. Really happy that it's still here. I think I speak for all of Jefferson when I say I think it's really happy that we're still here. Give me a handshake. I'm grabbing all 4 of those burgers and I'm getting away from those guys.
There you go.
See you.
Thank you.
Probably gotta wash our hands, don't we?
That's how you're picking your nose.
All right. Don't make anybody get in trouble.
Tell above you.
Forgot. Okay. Okay. Oh my God, that fell behind.
I'll get it. Don't worry.
We got a problem. Pulling a China shop, Robbie. A little crowded in here. Becky, here you go. We'll put this back to you. Here.
All right.
Put that back up there. My bad. All right. How many burgers do you have a day?
I would say on average you could do one a day.
If I owned a thing like this, Robbie, I would be 8 times the size of you. You guys, those burgers are something else, for real. Hope you came hungry for this episode of Deeper Roots with our friends at Blaine's Farm and Fleet, back in my hometown, flipping burgers and soaking up the nostalgia. Gotta love it. Now it's your turn. Go ahead, plan your visit to Jefferson so you can meet Robbie and the staff at Wadles. You can check them out online at wadleshamburgerstand.com, WEDLS, or get some updates on social media as well. Please do. You will not regret. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this episode, you can be a part of the next one. Just head to farmandfleet.com/deeperroots and fill out the form to nominate a friend, a family member, or your own story for a chance to be our next guest on Deeper Roots. And of course, smash that YouTube subscribe button, hit that thumbs up, or leave us a comment below. It's always great to know what you think of the show, and let us know what you liked. If you're listening to the podcast, feel free, leave us a 5-star review. We appreciate you. See you next time.
Talk to you later. Bye.